Welcome, dear listener. Tonight we step into a story older than memory, yet fresh as dawn's light. This is a tale of whispers, of legends, and of a search for something beyond time itself. They say there is a book, not bound by leather, not stained by ink, but eternal in every sense. The book eternal, a manuscript of shifting words, shaped by the needs of those who dare to read. Some believe it was woven by the fates, stitched from threads of destiny and fragments of stars. Others call it a myth, a dream born from the silence between stories too old to remember. But Athena, goddess of wisdom, heard its name in the hush of forgotten scrolls and sacred echoes. She wondered if the book held truths even she had never known, truths beyond gods and mortals. Could it exist? Could a single object hold the essence of knowledge, flowing without end or decay? Her heart stirred not with greed nor hunger, but with the pure call of curiosity and wonder. And so begins our journey, a path of riddles, mirrors, and timeless pages. Stay with me, and let us walk beside Athena as she follows the whispers of the Book Eternal. Legends travel like rivers, winding through valleys of time, carrying whispers no map can ever contain. Among these legends, one stood apart, soft yet unshaken, like a candle that never forgot to burn. It spoke of a book that no age could stain, no hand could claim, and no flame could ever destroy. The Book Eternal, a creation neither mortal nor divine, yet resting between the two like a hidden bridge. They said its pages were endless, never repeating, always shifting with the breath of the seeker. One line might reveal the secrets of stars, while another might whisper comfort to a lonely heart. The words changed, but the wisdom remained, like waves reshaping sand, yet never forgetting the sea. Athena first heard of it in fragments, tucked inside hymns sung by voices already fading from memory. She paused, listening closely, her mind sharp as an arrow, her heart calm as still water at dawn. Could such a book exist? Could the fates themselves have left behind a gift untouched by dust? Some claimed the book was older than Olympus, written when silence was the only language alive. Others said it had no writer at all, but grew like a living tree, blooming from thought itself. In Athens, among her temples, Athena walked in twilight, listening to the distant murmur of the city. The people prayed for wisdom, for clarity, for answers to questions no oracle could fully name. Their voices reached her, soft but insistent, as if carried by a thread connecting gods and mortals. And through it all, the whisper of the Book Eternal returned, brushing against her like a hidden wind. She imagined pages glowing faintly, words shifting like constellations, guiding those who dared to read. What knowledge could lie within? What truths might even she, goddess of wisdom, have yet to see? The thought did not burden her, but sparked curiosity, a fire without smoke, steady and luminous. It was not conquest she sought, nor dominion, but the chance to learn, to witness, to understand. And so she lingered by the columns of her temple, gazing at the night sky with quiet intent. Each star felt like an answer half hidden, each shadow like a question waiting for the right seeker. Her thoughts circled back to the oldest tales, carried by travelers who had nothing but stories. One spoke of a chamber where mirrors breathed, where past and future reflected without judgment. Another told of an island where time slept, and days repeated like a song with no end. And always, always, the book was there, waiting yet never caught, like a bird made of light. Athena closed her eyes and listened. The city quieted, the night deepened, and her path grew clear. If the book was a myth, she would uncover truth in its absence. If real, she would honor its gift. The first step, she knew, was to seek not with pride, but with patience. Not with force, but with grace. Legends do not reveal themselves to the loud, but to the still, to the ones who ask without demand. And so the whisper of legends became her call, the unseen melody pulling her into the unknown. What began as rumor now took shape as purpose. And the journey of Athena had quietly begun. Athena sat in her temple, the marbles silent around her. Yet her thoughts echoed louder than any prayer below. She was the goddess of wisdom. Yet wisdom itself is a river, always flowing, always seeking new ground. The rumor of the book eternal lingered in her mind, like a star that refused to dim at dawn. Knowledge was her realm, her gift, and her calling. Yet she wondered if the book held more than she knew. She remembered the libraries of Athens, filled with scrolls, ink, and the voices of countless thinkers. Their words had shaped cities, guided rulers, and comforted the common heart with stories of hope. But the book eternal was said to be different, not bound by parchment, not limited by mortal thought. It was said to breathe, to shift, to listen to the reader, offering not facts, but timeless understanding. Athena knew curiosity was dangerous, yet she also knew that to ignore it would betray her very essence. Her gaze lifted to the sky, where constellations shone like lines of a script only gods could read. Perhaps the book was hidden among them. Perhaps its wisdom was not in ink, but in the stars themselves. Still, whispers spoke of places on earth, islands where time slept, chambers where mirrors spoke. She closed her eyes, letting the murmurs guide her deeper, like a thread leading through shadowed halls. The people of Athens still prayed at her altar, yet she felt the pull of another path forming within. They asked her for answers, but the book eternal promised questions, deeper, brighter, unending. She wondered if humans were ready for such a gift, or if it was meant only for gods to behold. But then she remembered, wisdom is not meant to be kept. It is meant to be shared, like light. A flame hidden in one temple can brighten a single room, but shared it can guide 1,000 journeys. Her heart stirred. Curiosity grew into resolve, not restless, but steady, like the roots of an olive tree. The book eternal would not come to her uninvited. She must step beyond marble walls to seek it. Athena thought of the oracle at Delphi, whose words curved like rivers and hinted at hidden truths. Perhaps the oracle had seen a glimpse, a shadow of the book reflected in the stream of fate. The goddess felt a strange excitement, rare for one so measured, a quiet thrill at the edge of discovery. Knowledge was not just power, it was responsibility, a bridge between questions and understanding. If the book eternal was real, it was not hers to keep, but hers to guide others toward. Carefully, she walked to the temple's edge, where torches flickered, their light bowing to the night sky. Each flame reminded her of the mortal minds that sought her blessing, fragile yet enduring. Their prayers were seeds, and wisdom was the rain. The book, she thought, could be their sun. But the path ahead was not clear, not yet. Legends were riddles, and riddles were doors to truth. Athena knew she must prepare, not with weapons, but with patience, not with force, but with listening. She would begin with the forgotten places of knowledge, the corners where myths had not faded. There, perhaps, she would find the first true sign, the thread that led to the book eternal. And as she turned from her temple's quiet halls, the city below still dreamed, unaware of her quest. For them, dawn would bring another day. For Athena, it would mark the first step into the unknown. The goddess moved not for herself, but for wisdom, and wisdom called her now, steady as the tide. The city of Athens slept, but within its heart lay a secret library known only to the devoted few. It was hidden beneath stone steps, a place where dust and silence guarded words older than empires. Athena moved through the shadows, her presence soft, her mind awake to the pulse of forgotten wisdom. Torches lit her way, flickering against walls carved with symbols no mortal hand had traced in centuries. This was the library of forgotten scrolls, a vault of knowledge abandoned by time, but not by truth. Here, papyrus curled like autumn leaves, ink faded yet still breathing fragments of ancient thought. No crowd prayed here, no laughter echoed, only the still hush of memory waiting to be heard again. Athena's eyes, sharper than mortal sight, traced the shelves, each scroll whispering of mysteries untold. Among records of lost kings and vanished stars, she sought something greater, something whispered only. Her hand brushed a parchment worn thin, its surface cracked, yet its meaning unbroken by age. Symbols curved across it like constellations, forming not words, but a path, a rhythm of starlight. It spoke not directly of the book eternal, yet pointed like a compass towards something beyond reach. Athena leaned closer, listening not with ears, but with the deep quiet of her divine intuition. The scroll hinted at a journey, not to power, but to reflection, to a place where silence reigned. It spoke of doors that opened not by force, but by questions, by patience, by willingness to see. Her heart stirred, for this was no simple tale, but a riddle wrapped in the folds of time. The path of starlight, it said, began where sky met sea, where horizon blurred into infinity. There the seeker would find an isle untouched by years, where shadows of eternity lingered. Athena rolled the parchment carefully, her mind tracing the lines like stars in her own constellations. This was the first true sign, the first whisper more solid than rumor, pointing her onward. She stepped deeper into the library, her footsteps soft as falling leaves on stone. More scrolls she opened, more fragments she read, each adding to the chorus of mystery. One spoke of mirrors that answered not with reflection, but with possibility. Another told of voices made not of sound, but of thought, waiting to be heard in silence. Each fragment wove itself into her mind, threads of a tapestry she had only begun to see. The library seemed alive, as if the walls themselves wished her to succeed, wished her to know. Athena felt the weight of centuries around her, yet also the gentle guidance of unseen hands. Knowledge, she realized, was never still. It was alive, moving, reshaping, leading forward. The book eternal was not just an object, but part of this living current, hidden yet near. She paused before leaving, letting her gaze sweep once more across the silent, endless shelves. How many had walked here before? How many seekers had touched these scrolls, hoping for a sign? Perhaps the book had already touched them. Perhaps it had spoken in ways too subtle to see. With the parchment in hand, Athena ascended from the quiet depths into the breath of the night. The stars above shimmered brighter, as if recognizing the path she was now bound to follow. Athens lay quiet, unaware. Yet the journey had already begun beneath the calm of its stones. The library returned to silence, its treasures resting once more, waiting for the next seeker. Athena, however, carried its whisper with her, a thread of starlight leading into the unknown. And in that moment, the city's goddess was not only guardian of wisdom, but also its pilgrim. The path of starlight echoed in Athena's mind, yet the riddle pointed toward voices older than scrolls. She knew the oracle of Delphi held words that curved like rivers, never direct, yet always true. The temple of Apollo stood high on sacred ground, where pilgrims climbed with offerings in trembling hands. Smoke from burning laurel leaves drifted through the air, carrying the weight of prayers into silence. Athena did not come as a goddess revealed, but cloaked her divinity, walking among mortals unseen. She moved with quiet grace, her steps blending with those who sought answers to lives uncertain. Inside, the oracle waited. A woman chosen, her voice guided not by will, but by the divine. The chamber glowed dimly, lit by flickering flames, shadows dancing like spirits along the stone walls. Athena entered, her presence stirring the air, though the oracle's eyes already seemed to see her. "Seeker of wisdom," the oracle whispered. "You come not for mortals, but for a truth beyond gods." Athena inclined her head, her gaze steady, her voice calm as still water in the night. "I seek the book eternal," she said softly. "The whisper of pages no flame or age can touch." The oracle closed her eyes, her body swaying as if wind moved her from within. Words poured from her lips, not her own, but woven by threads older than mortal speech. "You will find no map, only riddles. No doors of stone, only mirrors of the soul. The path of starlight leads across the sea, to where time rests in endless repetition. There waits the isle untouched, where shadows of memory walk and silence guards the threshold." Athena listened, each word a droplet falling into the pool of her mind, rippling outward. She knew riddles well, yet each carried more than mystery. It carried choice, patience, and weight. The oracle's voice grew softer, her words curling like smoke, both fleeting and eternal. "The book is not to be claimed, but to be found by those who would not keep it. The seeker must see not with eyes alone, but with balance, humility, and unyielding clarity." Then silence returned, thick and deep, leaving only the sound of the flames in their dance. The oracle's eyes opened, distant, as if she herself had forgotten the voice that spoke. Athena bowed her head in respect, gratitude unspoken yet alive in the air between them. She turned from the chamber, the riddle now carved within her, brighter than torchlight in dark. Outside, the sacred mountain stretched into the sky, each stone holding centuries of pilgrim prayers. Athena walked among them, her mind alive with the image of an isle beyond mortal reach. She thought of the sea, its waves eternal, carrying ships, dreams, and secrets across unseen paths. The oracle had given no clear direction, only symbols that tugged at the fabric of her spirit. But this, she knew, was the nature of truth. It revealed itself only to those who listened. The book eternal was not simply hidden. It tested the heart of those who would seek it. Athena felt a quiet resolve settle within her, as steady as the rhythm of the tide. She would cross the sea, follow the constellations, and trust the riddles to guide her steps. The whisper of the library now joined with the oracle's voice, weaving a single melody of the purpose. As night fell over Delphi, the stars emerged, bright and watchful, as if urging her onward. Athena lifted her gaze, seeing the heavens not as distant, but as a map alive with light. The path lay before her, uncertain yet inevitable, as all true quests are meant to be. And with calm determination, the goddess of wisdom began to prepare for her voyage into silence. The sea stretched wide before Athena, an endless mirror of silver and blue beneath the watching stars. Waves rolled with steady rhythm, carrying the songs of sailors long gone, their voices still woven in foam. She stood on the deck of a simple ship, not a vessel of gods, but one shaped by mortal hands. The wood creaked beneath her, alive with memory, as if each plank remembered journeys across distant horizons. Mortals whispered prayers as they worked the sails, unaware that wisdom itself walked silently among them. Athena kept her divinity veiled, her gaze steady, her heart fixed on the riddle's distant isle. The stars above guided her, constellations shimmering like lanterns placed in the heavens for her alone. She traced their patterns, Orion's belt, the Pleiades, each marking the way across the restless waters. Yet the sea was never still, and with each dawn, it revealed new moods, new faces of mystery. At sunrise, the horizon glowed gold, a promise of discovery shimmering in the air and the waves. By dusk, shadows deepened, and whispers rose from the water, voices faint yet impossible to ignore. Athena listened closely, her sharp mind discerning truth from illusion, wisdom from the tricks of the sea. Sometimes the voices spoke of treasures buried, sometimes of dangers waiting, sometimes of nothing at all. The mortals on board shivered, crossing themselves, fearful of the unseen but trusting the goddess of the helm. Athena gave them calm with words few and simple, guiding them not as deity, but as leader. Her presence soothed storms that threatened not by force, but by balance, as if the sea respected her. One night, when the moon rose silver, she heard the sea speak more clearly than before. It whispered of an island beyond time, where no tide could erode, no storm could touch. Athena closed her eyes, the sound like a lullaby, a call pulling her heart ever forward. But not all voices welcomed her quest, for with clarity came doubt, shadows that tested her resolve. The waters darkened, the stars seemed to vanish, and silence pressed heavy on ship and crew. In that silence, Athena felt the presence of memory itself, watching, weighing, questioning her purpose. Her mind did not falter, for wisdom thrives not in certainty, but in listening to the unknown. She whispered to herself, a vow as ancient as her birth, to walk the path with patience. When the dawn finally broke, the sea returned to calm, and the stars once more lit the way. The crew cheered, relieved, believing the storm had passed, never knowing it had been a test unseen. Athena stood at the bow, her eyes fixed on the edge of the horizon, where sky met sea. There, faint yet undeniable, shimmered the outline of an island, bathed in light unlike any other. It did not move with the waves, nor vanish with the mist, but stood as if eternal. She felt the riddle of the oracle echo. No doors of stone, only mirrors of the soul. The isle was not a place to conquer, but to enter with clarity, humility, and balance. Athena breathed deeply, knowing the true trial was about to begin, beyond mortal seas, beyond sight. The ship glided onward, carried not just by wind, but by purpose etched into the heart of destiny. The crew worked, unaware they neared a shore where time itself bowed to silence and shadow. Athena touched the edge of the vessel, her hand steady, her spirit calm, her mind unshaken. The book eternal waited, but only for those who sought it, not for power, but for truth. As night returned, the stars gleamed brighter, as if the heavens themselves prepared to witness her arrival. The goddess of wisdom stood ready, her journey across the sea complete, her trial only beginning. The ship drifted closer to the isle, where mist clung to the waters like a veil of ancient breath. Athena stood at the bow, her eyes sharp, searching for signs of welcome or warning from the land. The island was silent, its trees tall and still, their leaves unmoved even by the sea's soft wind. No birds sang, no waves broke upon the shore, only a hush that seemed older than the sky. The crew whispered uneasily, sensing a power that was not hostile, yet far beyond mortal measure. Athena raised her hand, offering calm, her presence steady, guiding them to trust in her silence. The ship touched the shore with gentle ease, as though the sea itself wished to place her there. She stepped onto the sand, pale as marble, each grain glowing faintly with a light of its own. It was as if the ground remembered every soul that had walked here, yet welcomed none to stay. Athena breathed deeply, the air heavy with memory, a weight that pressed softly against her heart. The trees whispered without wind, their branches arching like guardians, leading into the island's shadowed depths. Athena walked the path they offered, each step echoing as though she crossed into another time. The further she went, the louder the silence became, a paradox that pulled thought inward. She felt watched, not by eyes, but by the very fabric of the isle, alert to her soul. The oracle's riddle stirred within her mind. No doors of stone, only mirrors of the soul. She knew the trial was not outside, but within, a reflection waiting to test her true essence. The path led her to a clearing, wide and bright, where a pool of water lay still. It shimmered like glass, untouched by ripple or leaf, reflecting the sky with unnatural clarity. Athena approached, kneeling at its edge, her reflection staring back, sharper than any mortal mirror. But it was not only her face. It shifted, showing her as goddess, warrior, child, and seeker. The pool whispered in many voices, each one her own, speaking doubts, fears, and forgotten desires. "You seek wisdom eternal," the voices said. "But do you seek it for truth or for power?" Athena remained calm, though the words cut deep, testing not her strength, but her intent. She answered softly, her tone steady. "Wisdom is not possession. It is light to be shared." The pool shimmered, shifting once more, showing scenes of battles, victories, and the glory of Olympus. It tempted her with visions of triumph, knowledge that could shape gods and mortals alike. Yet she did not reach for it, her hands steady at her side, her eyes unwavering. "Knowledge is not a crown," she said, "but a torch to guide, never to rule." The waters brightened, the images fading, until only her true reflection remained, serene and unshaken. Then the pool grew still, and from its depths rose a single object, glowing with quiet grace. It was not the book eternal, but a fragment, a page etched with words beyond mortal tongue. Athena took it gently, feeling its weight, both light and immense, like holding a dawn in her palm. The air shifted, the silence lifting, replaced by a harmony that resonated through the trees and stone. The isle seemed to breathe, no longer heavy, but lighter, as if it had accepted her purpose. Athena knew this was only the beginning, a gift and a warning of what lay ahead. The page glowed faintly in her hand, a compass not of direction, but of spirit and choice. She turned back toward the shore, each step filled with resolve, carrying the fragment of truth within. The book eternal was still hidden, but she now held a piece, proof that her path was true. The island faded into mist once more, as though it had given all it would and no more. Athena stepped onto her ship again, the crew waiting, their eyes wide with questions unspoken. She offered only a nod, for the journey was far from over, and the sea still called. The stars above glimmered like witnesses, silent and bright, guiding her toward the next trial ahead. The sea carried Athena onward, the fragment of the book eternal safe in her hands, glowing faintly with promise. The crew marveled at its light, though none dared ask, sensing it was not theirs to understand. Athena stood in silence, her thoughts weaving between the oracle's riddle and the page's quiet radiance. The words etched upon it were indecipherable to mortal eyes, yet to her they sang with clarity. Each symbol was alive, shifting like constellations, forming truths only visible to those who listened deeply. The page spoke of a second trial, hidden not in land or sea, but in the flow of time. Athena closed her eyes, hearing its whisper. Seek the place where past and future meet in stillness. She knew then her voyage must turn toward the land of forgotten ruins, where time lingered unbroken. The ship sailed eastward, guided by the stars, their light bending subtly, as if pointing the way. Days passed quietly, each dawn soft with mist, each night alive with a hum of unseen voices. The sea grew calmer, almost watchful, as though it too awaited her arrival at destiny's shore. Finally, a coastline appeared, lined with stone pillars broken yet standing, monuments to ages long gone. The crew dropped anchor, uneasy, for the air was heavy, thick with silence and memory entwined. Athena disembarked, her steps steady, the fragment in her hand guiding her like a lantern of truth. The ruins stretched endlessly, halls without roofs, walls carved with symbols long buried in mortal thought. Each carving shimmered faintly, as though the stones themselves remembered the gods who once walked there. Athena traced the lines with her fingers, recognizing patterns of fate, constellations, and echoes of prophecy. At the heart of the ruins stood a great sundial, unbroken by time, its shadow still and unmoving. She approached, her breath calm, knowing this was the place where time bent to wisdom's will. The sundial glowed faintly as she touched it, the fragment in her hand resonating with its light. The air trembled, and suddenly the ruins shifted, transforming into visions of ages past and yet to come. Athena stood at the center, surrounded by echoes of mortals and gods alike, lives repeating endlessly. She saw wars that would rise, peace that would fade, and choices that shaped both ruin and renewal. The vision pressed upon her, vast and unrelenting, asking her to bear the weight of what was. Her heart ached with the knowledge, yet she did not look away, for truth demands witness, not denial. The sundial's voice rose, deep and resonant. Do you seek to change what you see, or to understand? Athena whispered, her voice steady. Wisdom is not to alter fate, but to walk with clarity through it. The vision swirled faster, testing her resolve, tempting her with the power to shift the threads of destiny. But she did not reach, did not waver, her hands firm, her gaze calm, her purpose unbroken. The sundial brightened, its shadow dissolving, and from its center rose another fragment of the book eternal. It floated into her grasp, warm and radiant, its words aligning with the first like stars in harmony. The ruins stilled, the visions fading, leaving silence once more. Yet now lighter, filled with quiet acceptance. Athena held both fragments, their glow merging, a song of wisdom resonating deep within her spirit. She knew the journey stretched further still, yet each step brought her closer to the truth untold. The crew awaited her at the shore, their faces pale, sensing the air shift though they knew not why. Athena gave them calm with a glance, her eyes carrying the weight of both time and eternity. The ship sailed once more, the sea embracing them, the stars watching with quiet anticipation of the next trial. Athena stood at the helm, fragments of the eternal book glowing softly, guiding her toward the path unseen. Her journey pressed onward, not just through the world, but through the very essence of wisdom itself. The sea carried Athena deeper into uncharted waters, the fragments of the eternal book glowing softly in her care. Each night the stars seemed brighter, as though constellations themselves watched and whispered of her path. The crew felt it too, a presence in the air, guiding them though they could not name it. Athena stood at the helm, calm as the horizon, yet her mind weighed with riddles unspoken. The fragments pulsed gently, their glow in harmony, promising truth yet concealing the trial that still lay ahead. She closed her eyes, hearing their whispers, words shifting like waves, never the same twice. Seek the heart of memory, they murmured, where forgotten voices echo louder than the present. Athena understood. The journey now bent not upon sea or time, but upon the soul itself. Her gaze turned eastward, where the waters darkened, and a strange glow rose beyond the horizon. The ship drifted closer, drawn not by wind or current, but by a silent force unseen. Soon an island appeared, not lush, not barren, but carved from crystal that shimmered with inner light. Its cliffs sparkled like frozen stars, reflecting the sea as though it were another sky beneath. The crew gasped in awe, for the place seemed neither mortal nor divine, but something between. Athena spoke softly, reassuring them, "Fear not. This isle does not judge the body, but the heart." The ship reached the shore, and the crystal sands shone beneath their feet like scattered constellations. Athena disembarked, the fragments humming in her hand, as if recognizing the land of memory. She walked a path of light, the ground forming steps ahead, dissolving once she passed. It led her into a vast cavern, its walls alive with reflections of countless lives. Each surface shimmered with faces, mortals, gods, children, elders, moments etched like eternal flame. Athena paused, seeing not strangers, but echoes of her own choices woven among them. There was her younger self, bold and proud, eyes burning with ambition to outshine Olympus. Another reflection showed her as guide of heroes, shaping destinies with wisdom and quiet counsel. Then came harder visions, moments of silence where she withheld aid, believing struggle forged growth. The cavern whispered, voices rising. Wisdom carries weight. Do you accept the burdens of what you left unseen? Athena's gaze did not falter. She whispered, "Every silence taught, every word carried, all part of the path." The walls glowed brighter, shifting again, now showing her future as it might yet unfold. Visions of mortals bowing, empires rising, her name etched into endless monuments of reverence. It was glory eternal, tempting in its promise, a world shaped in her perfect image. Yet she turned away, her voice calm. Wisdom seeks not worship, but balance that outlives even gods. The cavern stilled, and the crystals pulsed softly, their glow aligning with the fragments in her hand. From the heart of the chamber, a pedestal rose, holding the third fragment of the eternal book. It shone brighter than the others, as though drawn from the core of memory itself. Athena stepped forward, taking it with reverence, feeling its harmony join with the others in unity. The cavern trembled, but not in warning, in acknowledgement, as though it had measured her soul and approved. The walls dimmed, returning to silence, yet their acceptance lingered like a blessing in the air. Athena emerged once more into the starlight, the crystal isle fading behind her like a dream. The crew looked on in wonder, sensing she carried something greater, though they dared not ask. She stood at the bow, 3 fragments glowing softly, weaving together like notes of a single song. The sea stretched forward, the stars guiding her still. And Athena knew the greatest trials lay ahead. For the book eternal was no longer only a goal. It was becoming a mirror of her very essence. The sea stretched endlessly, calm yet alive, carrying Athena and her crew further into the mystery of the eternal book. 3 fragments now rested in her care, glowing in harmony, weaving songs of wisdom that only she could hear. The crew watched her in quiet awe, sensing she bore both gift and burden far beyond mortal reach. Athena stood at the bow, her gaze fixed on the horizon, her heart steady yet filled with questions. The fragments pulsed faintly, their glow rising with each passing night, as though eager to guide her. Yet with their growing light came shadows, whispers that stirred doubt, echoes of roads not yet taken. Athena closed her eyes, breathing deeply, her voice silent, yet her mind steady against the pull. She knew the journey's next trial would test not strength nor memory, but the clarity of truth. By dawn the sea changed, its waters darker, as though hiding secrets beneath a shimmering surface. The air grew thick with silence, and the ship slowed, though no wind nor current bound it. The crew stirred uneasily, whispering of omens, but Athena raised her hand, calm and resolute. "Fear not," she said softly. "The sea carries us where we are meant to go." Soon a small island emerged, not crystal nor stone, but shrouded in mist that refused to part. Its form shifted like smoke, one moment solid, the next dissolving as though unreal. Athena felt the fragments tremble in her hands, their light dimming as if uncertain of the place. She stepped ashore alone, the mist wrapping around her like veils woven of silence. Each step revealed shifting ground, sometimes sand, sometimes grass, sometimes nothing at all. It was a realm of illusion, where truth and falsehood danced in shadows and light. The mist spoke, not with voice, but with shapes, conjuring visions as real as memory. Athena beheld scenes of herself, triumphant and adored, guiding mortals who praised her name. She saw temples rising, her likeness carved in stone, her wisdom declared eternal and flawless. For a moment her heart stirred, not with pride, but with the temptation of certainty. The mist whispered, "Is this not what you seek? To be eternal, to be unquestioned?" But Athena's eyes did not waver, her voice clear. "Wisdom is not worship, nor is truth a crown." The visions dissolved, replaced by darker scenes of despair and silence. She saw mortals faltering without her guidance, kingdoms falling to ruin, voices crying out unanswered. The mist pressed closer, its voice heavy. "Will you abandon them, leaving silence as their fate?" Athena's chest tightened, for she knew the weight of choice, the ache of restraint. Yet she whispered firmly, "Wisdom is not to rule every choice, but to teach mortals to walk their path." The ground shifted, the mist thickened, and from it rose shapes of gods themselves. Zeus thundered, Poseidon roared, Hera's gaze pierced, each demanding she prove her worth. They offered power, dominion, a seat above all others, if she surrendered the fragments. Athena stood unflinching, her voice calm. "Wisdom bows to none, not even to gods." The illusions trembled, fading with her words, their strength broken by her unshaken clarity. The mist recoiled, and from its depths rose a pedestal of light, shimmering with quiet truth. Upon it rested the 4th fragment, calm yet radiant, as though born of discernment itself. Athena approached, her steps unwavering, and lifted it into her hand with reverence. The fragments pulsed together, their glow stronger now, weaving into a chorus of harmony. The mist thinned, retreating to the edges, leaving the island quiet, its illusions dissolved. Athena returned to her ship, her eyes calm, though her spirit bore the weight of trial. The crew watched in silence, sensing she carried more than words, but truth made flesh. The sea opened once more, guiding them forward, the stars above burning brighter than before. Athena held the 4 fragments close, knowing each step brought her deeper into the heart of eternity. Yet she also knew the trials ahead would test not just wisdom, but the very essence of being. And so the ship sailed onward, carrying not only a goddess, but the truth of all who seek. The sea grew vast once more, stretching without end, as Athena held the 4 fragments close against her heart. Each fragment sang softly, their voices weaving into one. Yet their harmony still longed for completion. The crew sensed the weight of her burden, though they dared not speak of the light she carried. Athena gazed at the horizon, her mind steady, yet her spirit knew another trial was drawing near. The stars above shifted subtly, their constellations rearranging as if to guide her with quiet hands. By dawn the air thickened, filled with warmth and scent, like spring blooming in the middle of sea. The ship slowed, not from wind, but as though wrapped in invisible hands of gentle invitation. Ahead lay an island, lush and green, crowned with golden fields and streams of crystal water. Birdsong rose, carried on breezes soft as silk, and flowers bloomed even upon the waves. The crew rejoiced, their eyes wide with wonder, for it seemed a paradise untouched by sorrow. Yet Athena's heart did not rest, for she knew beauty could mask trials more subtle than storms. She stepped ashore, her sandals brushing grass that glowed faintly, as if lit from beneath. The land was alive, not merely with life, but with presence, watching and listening in silence. She walked a path lined with blossoms, their petals shifting colors like thoughts unspoken. Soon a figure appeared, tall and radiant, not god nor mortal, but shaped from living light. It smiled gently, its voice like water. "Welcome, seeker. You have carried wisdom far." Athena inclined her head, her voice calm. "And yet, I know the trial is not yet done." The figure laughed softly, like leaves stirred by wind. "You see clearly, daughter of thought." It raised a hand, and the field shifted, blooming into visions that shimmered like dreams. Athena beheld mortals living in peace, their lives filled with joy, their hearts free of sorrow. Children laughed, families thrived, kingdoms flourished, untouched by war, grief, or loss. The figure spoke, "Take this gift, and you shall end suffering. Let no mortal cry in vain again." Athena's chest tightened, for the vision was beautiful, a world without pain or shadow. Yet her gaze did not falter, and she whispered, "To erase sorrow is to erase choice. Without choice, wisdom dies." The vision flickered, fading into another. Mortals wandering lost, weighed by grief too heavy to bear. The figure's voice darkened. "Then you condemn them to sorrow, and you could give them peace eternal." Athena's eyes grew steady, her tone firm. Peace born of denial is not truth. Wisdom walks with both light and shadow. The figure's form wavered, its light shifting, testing her resolve with questions woven from compassion. It showed her faces of mortals crying out, pleading for answers, for hope, for guidance. Athena's heart ached, yet she whispered, "Hope is not given by gods alone. It is born within mortal hearts." The figure paused, its form softening, as if listening to the strength beneath her words. Finally, it raised both hands, and from its chest emerged a radiant shard of light. The 5th fragment of the eternal book drifted forward, glowing brighter than the fields around them. Athena reached out, her fingers steady, and took it with reverence into her care. The fragments sang together, 5 voices now entwined, their song deeper, richer, carrying weight and promise. The land stilled, the vision fading, the fields returning to quiet grass beneath the starlight. The figure bowed, its form dissolving into air, leaving only silence and the glow of truth. Athena stepped back to the shore, her eyes calm though her spirit carried the weight of choice. The crew watched as she returned, the fragments glowing brighter now, as though alive with purpose. The sea opened once more, the stars guiding them, brighter than ever before, burning with quiet fire. Athena stood tall at the helm, 5 fragments close to her heart, her path unbroken. Yet she knew with certainty the trials ahead would demand not only wisdom, but sacrifice unmeasured. And so the ship sailed onward, carrying a goddess who bore both light and shadow within her. The night was quiet, yet alive with the gentle hum of unseen wings and the echo of eternal whispers. Athena stood at the heart of the hidden library, the glow of the book eternal, shimmering like dawn's first light. Her fingers rested on its cover, though it was no ordinary surface, but a living current of shifting words. Each symbol danced, dissolving into new forms, carrying fragments of wisdom that seemed both strange and familiar. She breathed deeply, her gaze steady, not with hunger, but with reverence for the mysteries laid before her. The air itself seemed to bend, as if knowledge were not confined, but flowing, infinite, without end. Athena closed her eyes, listening. For the book did not speak in sound, but in thought and vision. It showed her threads of possibility, worlds not yet born, and lessons carved from mistakes long past. The goddess understood then that the book was not for possession, but for guardianship, a flame never owned. Knowledge must move, must breathe, or it fades into dust like statues left too long in silence. Athena whispered softly, "Wisdom is not mine to keep, but ours to share, ours to seek together." And with those words, the book seemed to sigh, folding its light into stillness, yet still awake. It rested in her hands like water in a vessel, calm, waiting for the next seeker to arrive. She knew her role was not to hoard, but to guide, to light the path for wandering minds. The book eternal was not a prize, but a reminder that truth is alive, never fully caught. Outside the hidden library, dawn stretched its golden fingers across the horizon, warming stone and sky. The owls that had followed her watched silently, as if they too had glimpsed the living words. Athena stepped into the morning, carrying not just a book, but a promise carved into her heart. The promise that wisdom would remain open, shared, and alive for those who dared to seek it. Her journey was not an ending, but a beginning, a thread woven into the endless loom of time. And somewhere, across ages yet unborn, the book waited, patient, for another soul who would listen. It would appear not as a treasure chest, but as a mirror, showing each seeker what they needed. For that is the gift of wisdom, not a single answer, but a light that reveals the way. As the sun climbed higher, Athena's form grew, faint against the brilliance of the new day. Her steps left no mark upon the earth, yet the memory of her choice lingered like song. Those who came after would tell of a goddess who touched infinity, yet shared it with all. And so the story moves, not bound to parchment, not chained to a voice, but alive in you. For every listener who wonders, every mind that questions, every heart that seeks, is part of it. Athena's voice still whispers when you open a book, when you pause to think, when you ask why. The book eternal is not hidden in shadows, nor locked in temples, but waiting in your curiosity. It is there when you read, when you dream, when you look at the stars and wonder. And now, dear listener, as this story closes, remember that endings are only doors to beginnings. Athena's journey reminds us that wisdom is eternal, and every seeker carries the torch forward. The book Eternal rests not in stone halls, but in the courage of those who choose to learn. And as you step away from this tale, the story steps with you, alive in your own path. The whispers are not gone, only waiting, calling you toward your own chapter of discovery. So listen closely, carry wonder, and walk gently, for the book Eternal is already in your hands.